Hello everybody, welcome to the tutorial on how to add LP farming as well via Spectrum Network, Spectrum Finance on the Ergo blockchain side. So for those of you that don't know, Ergo is a proof of work blockchain, which means we secure our network with mining as opposed to staking like in Cardano. I urge you to please take a look at this website, ergoplatform.org. Scroll to the bottom, you'll see a link to all our socials where we're very active in Telegram and Discord. Happy to answer any questions you have. So let's dig right in. So here we are on Spectrum Finance, and by hitting Launch App, we'll be taken into the swap pane by default. This is where we will swap directly ERG for SPF, ERG for Rosen, any of that kind of thing. Make sure you have your Nautilus wallet or your Ergo Pay wallet connected up top here, where it'll show your ERG balance right there. You can also hide it if you want to, which maybe I should have done in this video, but it's okay. Okay, so first thing is we'll do a basic swap. Now, swapping is finding something you want to swap from to something you want to swap to. So as you can see, it shows we have 363 ERGs in this wallet, and we can swap for something else. Let's do, on this one, let's do some auction coin. Auction coin is a pretty fun project that we may get into in another video. So let's switch one ERG for one auction coin. We can see that ERG right now via Spectrum pricing is 127 in this pool, and it is going to get you one auction coin, and that is because this is semi not dividable here. So let's get divisible. So you can see as we up it, we actually can see what's happening here. So let's do 1-to-1 and see how it'll work. Up here in the top corner, if you're familiar with standard dexes, you'll see that there's some slippage tolerance that you can set just in case a price movement happens while the process is in the exchange. You can actually pay the execution fee in SPF, which is Spectrum's native token for their network. You can also do something called Nitro, which essentially ups the transaction fee. And this is handy for things like if you saw the Rosen launch or the Crux Finance launch where they launched on this DEX. They just opened up the liquidity pool and said, have at it. This will get you in a block potentially faster than somebody that has a lesser of an execution fee. So there's, it's a small amount to pay if you want to definitely get in the block compared to somebody who might not know about this or doesn't want to pay that extra ERG fee or whatever that is. So you can set this multiplier here to increase the transaction fee. So that's all you need to see there. You can pop this down and you can see exactly what's going to happen. We're going to get an auction coin, hopefully. From that, there's a batcher fee, there's a network fee, and the service fee. And hovering your mouse over this shows what everything is all about there. Okay, so let's hit swap. Gives us a little confirmation. We hit confirm swap. Nautilus pops up, tells us how much is leaving our wallet. That's the 1 ERG plus the fees. And what we are sending to the contract and sending to the external address. Kind of repetitive there. No, it's not, sorry. Sending to the contract and sending to the external address right here. And the network fee right here. And you'll notice that Spectrum ups their network fee a little bit compared to the typical 0.001 that you'll see on other DApps. They just want to make sure that they're going to get in the block here. It's fairly important for a DEX. So let's type in a password. And there we go, transaction submitted. And I'll briefly show you this on this swap, not the other swaps. So if you click on that link, it takes you to the Ergo Explorer, which shows you that the transaction is unconfirmed. That means it's currently in the mempool. You can leave it on this page if you like, and it should automatically refresh by the time it shows that it has been confirmed in a block. Right now, the Ergo block time is about 2 minutes. But as you may have seen from Krishti's announcement that he is working on a weak block protocol, which essentially will allow for some weaker confirmations around 20 seconds at a time. So I doubt that that'll be picked up for a DEX who really needs to make sure that that's a correct confirmation. But for peer-to-peer swaps and other things, you may see those kind of things in the future where it's a much faster block time swap for that. All right, so let's go back to the swap. Let's pretend it's done. Let's pretend we have our auction coin. Fantastic. That's all you have to do. And you can swap back and forth. Be careful though. If you type something into the top here, if you're searching for a token that's not verified, you'll see that they come in down here. All right. And you can import those, but there's no guarantee who made those tokens. Anybody can name a token. You could name a token Quacks and give it the logo, although Spectrum probably wouldn't accept the logo in their back end, but still it'd have it'd have the same kind of sign there. But still, that can be confusing to people depending on the interface that they're using there. So just be careful of importing tokens. Make sure you're getting verified tokens, or you check that the token ID matches with what's on the person's website as far as that goes. Okay, let's go to liquidity. So let's say you have a bunch of ERG, you have a bunch of one token. You want to provide liquidity so that you can get a few, you can make your ERGs work for you or your tokens work for you. You can see the reward percentages on the right here. So let's choose, what should we choose? Let's choose ERG and Rosen. So you can see under liquidity, there's ERG and Rosen. Currently there's 1.3 million USD equivalent in this pool. That means half of the pool is ERG, half the pool is Rosen. And the way that works is, unlike order book, where you have a set amount, you want to sell one Rosen for X amount of ERGs, or one ERG for X amount of Rosens. You have somebody selling that, and you can get a couple of those, or bomb past it with a higher price and scoop everything up into that price. That's an order book method. You need market makers for that. Essentially, the version of these kind of things that are running in these contracts on these decks are liquidity pools. So what happens is there's a mathematical equation, essentially, some logic behind there, that says if there's this much ERG, if there's this much Rosen, as Rosen is purchased and ERG is put into the pool, the amount of Rosen in the pool goes down, the amount of ERG in the liquidity pool goes up. So that means that Rosen is going to be more expensive to get because it's more scarce. So there's that going on the entire time as people are buying and selling. So that's why you'll see the fluxes in liquidity pools in that method there. So what also happens is, which is why we're doing a tutorial on liquidity pools and why they're important, is that liquidity pools with a very shallow depth. Now let's say, let's go back to swap and I'll show you exactly what that means. So here's auction coin. If we look at liquidity for auction coin, you'll see that there's only $6,500 in total liquidity. That's 2,700 auction and 2,500 ERG. So let's go back to swap and watch what happens if we want to buy 1,000 ERG. We're going to massively impact the price here because there's not very much depth in this pool to make that kind of purchase. And Spectrum nicely warns you about that, that's going to happen. Okay, so the way around this is to do something like Rosen. So watch what if I do 5,000 Rosen. You can see there's so much depth, $1.3 million worth of depth in this pool, that it won't even affect it spending 5,000 ERGs, 0.91% of a price impact. So absolutely very important to have very deep liquidity pools. All right, let's go back. Let's do our Rosen liquidity. We're going to click on liquidity. We're going to add liquidity. And right now I have about $400 worth of ERG and, quite a bit of Rosen here. So I can't possibly provide enough ERG on one side to make up for all the Rosen that I have on the other side. So I'm going to have to supply less Rosen and enough ERG to match those two as they go into the liquidity pool, because you have to supply both sides of the swap. Now, I know you may say, but MinSwap lets you do this, what do they call it, Zap or something? A Zap where you just provide one side. Well, MinSwap is actually just doing that exchange in the background for you, so you don't have to. Essentially, let's say you only have the Min token and you don't have any ADA, or you don't want to, your ADA's all locked up somewhere. You can dump that Min token into the liquidity pool to add to it in the Zap side, and it will convert some of it to ADA and supply both sides of the pool for you. So it's doing it for you. You can do the same here manually with one extra step. Whatever. Okay, so here we are adding liquidity. We have some nice things up here where we can add 25% of our liquidity, and Spectrum Smart, the app is smart and it knows the maximum of per side. So even though I have 109,000 Rosen tokens, it knows that 25% is not of the Rosen tokens, it's going to be of the lesser amount here of the ERG. that's up top. So I can go 25%, I can go 55, 50%, 75, or 100%. Let's do 50. I don't need 300 ergs sitting around in this wallet. So let's add, no, yeah, let's do that. So we're going to do 271 erg, which equals out to about 11,000 Rosen at this price range. And we're going to add liquidity. Before I add liquidity, just a note, be careful adding liquidity to projects that you are not certain about price fluctuation. With liquidity providing comes something called impermanent loss. And as I said earlier, remember, as more ergs are added to buy Rosen, there's less Rosen because that's handed out of the pool. That makes Rosen more valuable. But let's say the other happened. Let's say you found a project that's like Monkey Bars or something, and they made a liquidity pool, and you wanted to add it, and you wanted to put all your, you had 50,000 Monkey Bars token, and you had 1,000 ergs, because that was a current price correlation in the liquidity pool. So you dump those two in the liquidity pool, and all of a sudden, whoever ran that pool, whoever made that pool didn't lock their tokens, and they just rug it. So all of a sudden, you are flooded with they dump all their tokens that they minted themselves because they have all the rest of the tokens. They dump it onto the pool, and all of a sudden that pool has a massive amount of monkey tokens and 2 erg left in it. All right. So now as you exit your liquidity pool from your standing that you had in it, you find yourself with 2 erg or 1 erg, whatever that percentage of erg was that you had, even though it's not 1,000 anymore, it's going to be that percentage, but you have an equal amount of that over in monkey bars. Okay. So now what's the problem? There's impermanent loss there because you have a token called Monkey Bars that's worth an equivalent of what you had in ergs originally, but good luck spending that Monkey Bars anywhere since the liquidity was just pooped, was just nuked. So you got to be really careful with that kind of thing. Make sure you're aware of what you're providing liquidity on a trusted project as far as that goes. And as always, no financial advice here, but be careful. All right, so we're going to add liquidity here. It's going to give us a review of everything. We'll add liquidity. Again, it's going to show us that erg and Rosen are leaving our wallets. And Rosen icon is question mark here, just as a note, because they're 2 separate repositories. Spectrum has a repository for their graphic images for icons, and so does Nautilus. So Nautilus is still, it's in the queue, I believe, but it should be updated soon. So you see that Rosen token in there. Let's type in my password. And there we go. I'm not going to take you to the Explore link because we just explained it on the other one. So now we've provided liquidity. I can go back to the liquidity tab. And since that was my first Rosen liquidity, I can't show it to you, but I'll show you my SPF liquidity. So here we have some SPF liquidity. It shows you the total liquidity in the pool, which is near $1 million, which is great. And we have my liquidity, which is 520 erg and 13,000 SPF. All right, so we could increase liquidity there, just like we added it to Rosen. If I had SPF, I could just hit increase, the same box pops up as the other one. Super simple. Or we can hit remove liquidity if we want to. You can also see that 10% of the liquidity is locked, probably by the SPF team, the Spectrum team. You can see here that 41% of the liquidity is locked in Rosen. So that's a good thing to see as well. If you hop on a project and there's a lot of liquidity in there and it's 90% locked, it's probably a safe bet that you can provide liquidity to it and feel okay about it, as long as it's not going to swing wildly, of course. Okay, let's go back to SPF. And you'll see now that I have liquidity. I have these liquidity tokens in my wallet of SPF. We're going to go to farms. And now what farming does is farming encourages people who provide liquidity to do something with their liquidity tokens so they're not easily accessible to pull out their liquidity. Essentially, it makes you double think. So if you're farming and you're seeing a benefit in farming, you're going to think twice about pulling your farming liquidity tokens and then pulling your liquidity from the pool, unless you really want to. So it's kind of a reward-based system that says, hey, if you dump your liquidity tokens into this farming pool, we're going to reward you with, in this case, SPF tokens, because you're kind of not locking it up, but you're putting it there for us to use. So to have. Sorry, not use. So let's go to farms. And we should see right up at the top, it knows what I have farms in right here. Okay. So let's go to, yeah, see? Oh, that's nice. This is new. It sees that I've added LP tokens earlier before. I added some SPF before, and I'm not farming them. So as soon as my Rosen tokens get in my wallet, you'll see that there will be, oh, there's no Rosen pool, so never mind. My bad. So you'll see this. So let's go ahead and manage our farming stake. And this little box pops up. We can choose to do all of our, you see that I did a very small amount of SPF and ERG before this video so that it was there. But you'll see I can do the same slider, 50, 75, or whatever dynamic thing I want. So this is essentially not taking an ERG from me. It's not taking my XPF. It's reading my liquidity tokens and saying, hey, that liquidity tokens that you have in your wallet is the equivalent of this much here. And this is essentially how much you're going to be farming right there. So we're going to hit stake. And transactions submitted. Okay, and that's it. And now you sit there and you can see that there's 56% on all these pools, farm pools right here, that are distributing, I believe they're all distributing SPF rewards for staking to that. I have a Padilla, I have an SPF that I get 2 different rewards from. So to give you an idea of what it is versus price, so if you look at Padilla, I am staking 820, so I'm staking about $400 of each Padilla and ERG, and I get about 6 SPF a day for that. And if you look up at SPF, I am staking about 700 of each. Oh, you'll see. Oh, it says it right there. Perfect. Yep. Next reward 5. I've collected 494 so far. And next reward 17. I've collected 2,000 SPF at 106 bucks. So if you look, 87 and 26. That's $1.10 almost that I'm collecting every single day just from providing liquidity and taking the liquidity tokens and farming them just on, let's see, that's a $2,000 investment. So that's not bad. I'm providing liquidity, which is a good thing, which causes depth in the pool, and I'm getting a little bit of reward in that I can then turn around, as you saw, and pump it back into the liquidity pool and get even more rewards. Or if that's how you want to pay yourself out, then you cash out $1 a day out of the liquidity pool. However, out of the swap back to ERG. However you want to do it. That's it. You can manage your stake, manage your farm here, and you can unstake your farm, pull your liquidity tokens back, and then you can go back in the liquidity section up here, and you can pull your liquidity out, and then you can do whatever swap you want after that. So you just follow the process in reverse, essentially. That was a little longer than I thought it was going to be, but I think we covered pretty much everything there in Spectrum. Feel free to drop into the chats of Spectrum or even the ERG general channels, and we're happy to help you out. Ciao, everybody.